Okay, so today we are back for another recipe, and from the title you guys seen, we're doing an old-fashioned beef stew, okay? And we're going to put some dumplings on the top at the end. Now remember, I said old school, so this isn't going to be a recipe where we're deglazing with red wine and all that stuff. Now, maybe one of these days I'll do a recipe on, maybe bump this recipe up a little bit, make it a little bit more fancier, but old school recipe. Okay, here's all the ingredients. We're going to run them down super quick. Got about 2 pounds of chuck roast here. That's what I cube up into my stew beef. Okay, we've got some beef broth here. We've got about 4 russet potatoes. Got a large yellow onion. We also have a couple of large carrots, tomato paste up front there. We got 3 cloves of garlic, some bay leaves, salt and pepper over here. Fresh thyme, rosemary, and fresh rosemary, and we got a little bit of vegetable oil here to sear this. Now the only thing you guys don't see off screen is we have a bag of just all-purpose flour, and we have, now remember I said it was old school, so this is the way my mom made it, so this is the way I'm going to make it, okay? We've got about 2 cups of Bisquick. We're going to do just some really quick Bisquick biscuits at the end. We're just going to dollop them on top of the stew, let them go for 15-20 minutes. Trust me, this is going to be a fantastic meal. I've had this a ton of times. All right, so now it'd be a good time for any return subscribers that I have. Go ahead and put a thumbs up. You folks that are here for the first time, if you guys like what I'm doing here, go ahead and put a thumbs up as well. Hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. We always do a recipe every single week, okay? We're going to show you how to cut up this chuck roast. So here's our chuck roast. You can see this thing's pretty massive. This is I don't know, probably 2 inches thick, I would say. All right, so now what we're going to do is I'm just going to show you how I cut it. This is the same thing they do in the stores when you buy it, so not a super big deal here, okay? So we're just going to cut this basically like this. What we're going for is okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut this in half again. That's, you cut it any way you want, however much you guys like or don't like as far as this goes. Now I am going to also remove all the fat at the end of this, okay? So here we go. All right, so these are our bite-sized pieces. Now I'm not going to bore you guys with all this. I think you guys understand exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going to let you guys go. We're going to clean this up, and we're going to get searing this. We're going to dump this in some flour possible. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to put a little bit of salt on it. We're going to put a little bit of pepper on it. Now we're going to do this all in like layers, okay? You'll see what I'm talking about. I'll explain it as I go. All right, so we're just going to mix this up just to make sure that we got the salt all the way around. You could feel it too on the meat when you're mixing it up, okay? And then we're just going to put a little bit more salt. We're going to put a little bit more pepper, okay? Oh, just so you guys know, like when you salt things and pepper things, right? Don't put it so close to the object that you're actually salting. Move it up, right? You move it up, it gets more even, okay? Well, if you guys didn't know that, well, I guess you know it now. All right, so here's where our flour comes into play. Now, I don't season this because I season the meat. All right, let's get this out of the way. And what we're going to do is we're literally, hope you guys can see that. I think you can. We're just going to take our meat and we're just going to put it all in this bag. And then, yep, you guessed it. That's why I always have a mop-peen on my shoulder, right? My mother always had a mop-peen on her shoulder. My grandmother lived with one on her shoulder. I think she woke up in the morning and she put one over her shoulder and she walked around like that all day, I think, right? Okay, so let me just move this a little bit so you can still see the bag. All right, so this is all we're gonna do. Leave a little bit of air in it, and we're just gonna shake it. That's it. Just make sure that all the pieces are coated. Remember the old, oh, I guess they still have it today. Remember the old shake and bake? Yeah, that's pretty much what you're doing here. And then what you're going to have is you're just going to kind of do this to it, kind of bounce it around the bag. And then you're going to have a lightly floured piece of meat. Now, this is going to do a couple of different things. This is going to help thicken up the sauce, and we're going to, when we put some oil in it, we're looking for a nice browning on this, okay? So that's about what you're going to do. I had about, I don't know, I'd say maybe about 2/3 of a cup of flour in there. Not a big deal. You can use more or less. Doesn't matter. The only object here is you're trying to coat the meat, all right? Get some oil in the pan, and we're going to start browning our meat, okay? Now, try to shake off some of the excess. And you are going to use, let's see. Yep, just make sure you, I'm sorry, I got sidetracked again. It seems to happen in my videos. So you are going to use like all the bits that are on the bottom of this, the fond, okay? And we're going to deglaze this, and then all this is going to go into our stock pot over here. And caramelization here is very important. You're gonna, when you bite into a piece of meat like this, you're gonna taste it. It's gonna be fantastic. I always say, take a piece of meat, don't caramelize it like this, and then take a piece of meat and caramelize it, put them side by side, and eat a piece of each. And you tell me what you guys think. I think it's going to be in the favor of eating a piece of caramelized meat. All right, so that's what we got. And oh yeah, the channel's doing great. I appreciate you guys doing your thing, hitting that subscribe button, all that stuff, all that good stuff. Gained a lot of subscribers lately. Don't know exactly what recipe it's for. I know the pizza video did really good. That cast iron pizza video did good. So anybody that subscribed in that time, I appreciate it. I thank you guys for that. All right, so here we go. All right, so that right there is what you're looking for. All right, so this is the last batch. This is what we should be getting a really good sear on this. This is why I love a nice stainless steel pan. Right? Beautiful. All right, so that's done. This is pretty much done. Now we're not going to throw anything in this pan away, okay? Because we're going to deglaze this, and we are going to put our onions in this. Okay, so let's cut up some onions. We'll cut up all the vegetables, and we'll start sauteing this stuff, and we'll put it all in the pot, and then that's pretty much where it sits for I don't know, 90 minutes, 2 hours maybe, somewhere around there. This stew is done when the meat is fork tender. So when I put a fork in it, when it peels away, it's done. All right, we'll show you how to do all that. Okay, on the other side. Cutting up the vegetables, I guess, right? Okay, so let's bring our cloves of garlic in here. Something like that, right? Okay. Pet peeve of mine, I always take the ends off. Nothing wrong with it if you don't want to take the ends off. That's just me. Okay, so we're just gonna, now remember that this is a kind of a rustic meal for the most part of it, I guess. Now you still want to, listen, you still want to, be mindful of what you're doing, right? You just don't want to throw a bunch of stuff in a pot. So you do want to cut it accordingly, okay? So these I go into just like a small dice, okay? So that there, that's where I want to be with it. Okay, something like that. And then when we put this in the pan and all right, so you don't really have to get crazy with this as far as, a fine mince or, anything like that, right? So, do this last one, and I'll show you what I do with the carrots. So I gotta say, some of you guys that leave comments and whatnot to me. All right, so there's our garlic. Okay, onion time. So I just peeled it. I took the root off and I took the other end off, and what we did was we just peeled it. We're going halves here. Okay, this here now we're just going to go right through the center, just like that. Okay, and then we're going to go 1 and 2, about a third. Okay, and then we're going to go about 1, 2, and 3. So our chunks are a little bit bigger. So now, here we go. We're going to just cut up the carrot. Now, again, it's just a thing you have to be a little bit mindful of. So I cut my carrots, because these are big carrots, okay? And then I just kind of do this, okay? A little fancy, not really, you know? They're just little wedges, okay? That's how I like it. Slice. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to cut it down the center. Okay, so these are going to be chunked to how, you know, maybe bite size, maybe a little less than bite size. So I usually go somewhere around like that. Okay, because these are going to cook down a little bit. All right, so maybe like that. All right, but that's up to you. You do these any way you want to again. All right, the thinner you cut them, just to keep in mind, the thinner that you guys cut these, the quicker they're going to cook. So you gotta, I'll show you anyways, because that's what I do. I'm going to show you when to put the carrots in, when to put the things in. So these are, this is kind of how I cut them up. All right, but if you like a bigger, chunkier type thing, you know, feel free. Okay, so I'm going to finish cutting up the rest of these potatoes, and then guaranteed you, I will show you how to deglaze that pan and cook these onions down. All right, man. Okay, so here we go with our onions. Okay, so the pan is still nice and hot. All these little bits and whatnot here, I'm going to be so disappointed if you guys throw that away. Do not throw that away. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our onions in it. Now you guys can take these and separate these onions before you put it in, or you can do it like I'm doing it with a wooden spoon. And this is pretty much instantly going to deglaze this pan. As soon as these start spreading, you're going to get that reaction. You can see it now, see how it's just cleaning it all up. So the more of these onions sweat, the better that your pan is going to get clean. All right, so you can let this go. So I'm going to give you like the other part too, if you wanted to add, let's say if you wanted to add wine, okay, with a nice red wine in this, gives it a lot of depth. All right, so now is when you would add the wine. If you add a port wine, you don't have to reduce it, but if you add any other kind of wine that you may like, always add a wine that you're going to be willing to drink. That's what I always say, because it would really suck if you put a wine in there and then it ruins your dish, right? Okay, so that's that. Lots of talking, I guess. I don't know. A couple tablespoons of tomato paste. All right. I bought this in the tube because it always seems like I never finish a can of tomato paste when I open it up for anything. I always waste it. I always have it, and I don't never use it all. I don't know why that is, but I don't. So I decide to buy it in a tube every now and then. Depends on the recipe that I'm doing. All right, so what we're doing here is we're just cooking the rawness off this tomato paste. Okay. Now some people at this stage might put in some diced tomatoes or something like that. So this pan, look at how clean this pan is, right? Very deglazed. This is exactly what we're looking for. All right. The day after Christmas and I'm still cooking. How'd that happen? Right? I don't know. Whatever. It happened though. And this is my relaxing time. I do this to relax and to give you people good food, right? Because from what I hear, the people that make some of the stuff that I have posted, over 100 recipes, I guess, so far. And I'm doing great on subscribers, like well over 13,000 subscribers at this point. So I'm really, really happy with that. All right, so this is pretty much done. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of our beef stock like this. We're just going to pour a little bit of this in just to make sure we get everything off the bottom of that pan. And that is where you would add in your wine. Okay? All right. And that's how you basically deglaze a pan. All right. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to move this out of the way. We are going to bring in our Dutch oven. I told you we were going to do this in cast iron today. That's exactly what we're going to do. All right, so into this pan now. Into this pan now goes the onions, just like that. Okay. We're also going to add in our chicken stock now, a thing of one container for now. This is a recipe that you can always, just like that. All right, one container of that so far. Now, if you don't like the strongness, is that a word? The strongness? Yeah. The strongness of the beef flavor. Okay, you could always dilute this with water. It's not a big deal. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Oh, okay. So, hang in there. Hold on one second. I'm just going to, in this pan over here, I'm just going to add our garlic. I forgot to saute the garlic. Can't forget to do that. All right, so we're going to give that just a minute. Okay, and then we're going to add in, we're just going to add in the garlic after I saute it. Now that's just, you don't need to get that brown. You just need to get a little aroma off that. Let's see if I can I do this? Let's see. Yeah, I guess so. We can do that. All right, so now you see the other pan over here. So we're just going to get this until it's got a little aroma to it, and now we can dump back in. See how beautiful that is? Look at that. Okay, so now we're going to dump in our stew meat, any little drippings or whatever. We're going to add that in as well. Oh, the only other thing that I didn't tell you guys was, and I didn't think about it actually just a couple minutes ago, you may need a little bit of cornstarch. You may need a little cornstarch and water towards the end. And the reason why I say that is because even though this beef has flour on it, and the idea basically is to thicken this up here, okay? If it doesn't thicken it to of how thick you want it, right? What you're going to do is you're going to mix a little cornstarch and water, and then you can take care of that to your liking, right? So you want it thicker, add a little cornstarch and water. If you want it like super loose, you do what you do. You just leave it alone. Okay, so this garlic didn't take long, so in the pan with the garlic. Now this might not be everybody's thing to make it like I am, but I do urge you to make it. And then if you like it, well, then you got yourself a good recipe, yeah? Okay. So we're looking at like 90 minutes, roughly 2 hours. I'm going to put a couple of bay leaves in it. We're going to also turn around and put a sprig of rosemary in it. And we're also going to put some fresh thyme in it. And we're just going to bury these. Now, this step is just for tenderizing the meat. Okay? That's all this step is for. So we want the aromas in there, the aromatics in there, I'm sorry, and the beef in there. So we're going to let this simmer in the beef stock for maybe an hour. Then after that, what we're going to do is we're going to put our potatoes in, we're going to put our carrots in, we're going to thicken it up if need, we're going to add water to it. I'll taste it at that. I'm not going to taste it right now because I salt and peppered the meat earlier, so the salt and pepper is going to come at the very last minute. All right, so that's about it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take this cast iron cooking. Somebody wanted me to do more cast iron cooking. This recipe's for you guys. Okay, we're going to put the lid on it. We're going to bring the heat up. We're going to bring it up to a boil. And then we're going to reduce the heat. And nice and slow, we're going to turn around and get this meat really tender. We'll bring you back. All right, so I am back after about an hour and 10 minutes. Okay, and this is what so far this looks like at this moment. Okay, now you can, if you want to, at this time take all your rosemary and your bay leaves out and all that kind of stuff like that, because they've done their job, right? So you could pull these if you'd like, just like this. Get these out of here. You know, I took a break here because I had to let this go for an hour, and you know, people that know me from this area knows that I love New York City, and New York City has really been a tough place to be lately, right? You know, and I was listening to, like I do all the time, listening to all the news and video clips and whatnot like that, and I was sitting there and I was trying to wrap my head around, and I'm not gonna, this isn't gonna be a political station, so don't worry about that. We're still gonna have fun here. We're gonna cook good food, but I had just kind of stopped and thought after watching that, like, with this poor woman that was set on fire. I don't know. Oh God, that's so good. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on in the United States. New York City, a lot of violence. Poor girl was, you know, maybe a homeless woman or whatever. It could be. All right, so we're gonna add the carrots, and we're gonna stir these in. And what we're gonna do, I'll get back to that story in just a second for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about. All right, and we're gonna add another, and that tastes really, really good. So we might not be adding too much water to this, but what I am gonna do, because I still have to put carrots in, is we're gonna, I think I had, there we go. Okay, so the idea of the only reason why we're doing this step now is because we need to cook our carrots. So we're going to turn the heat on high, and we're going to get this moving around a little bit, just like that. Oop. We see another, I thought I seen another little branch there. Apparently not. Okay, so we're going to put a lot of people might disagree with this, putting the carrots and the potatoes in at the same time. I don't really have a problem with them because I like my carrots with a little bit of bite to them. So I am going to dump in my 4, and you can add more. You want to put more potatoes in here, you can absolutely do that. So anyways, this poor woman, whew, as she stood there and just burned. Like, I was raised that, you know, in a whole different time apparently, because this seems to be the norm, and a lot of these crimes now are getting just horrible. You know, and then Christmas Eve, you had a guy in Grand Central Station, which I know well, down below, slashed a guy in the wrist and then went upstairs and slashed a woman's throat. I don't know. Anyways, okay, enough of that. But yeah, be vigilant about, you know, so apparently somebody with a lighter now can just light somebody on fire. Keep your eyes open, right? You know, keep your head spinning around your body, and be careful out there. It's getting crazy. All right, so what we're going to do now, I turn the heat up. I'm going to mix up some cornstarch and water just to have it handy, you know, in case I need to tighten this up a little bit. Now, the starch from the potatoes will also tighten it up a little bit. And then once you hit this with some heat, remember you had the flour on the meat. That's also going to add a little bit of, that's going to tighten this up as well. So I didn't salt and pepper it yet. We're going to do that right at the last minute. And we're going to make some dumplings, and we're going to put the dumplings on, and we're going to have nice stew and dumplings for dinner tonight. This is going to be fantastic. Hang in there. Sorry about the stories that I just said. I didn't want to bring anybody down, but I don't know. Just, it's got to turn around. All right, so we're going to let these potatoes cook probably about 20 minutes, make the dumplings, put those on top, get those all nice, and then we're going to plate this up. We're going to have a great dinner tonight. We got about 20 minutes into this pot of stew now since I dropped the potatoes and the carrots. Okay, so I just want to let you see what this kind of looks like now. Okay, so this is what the gravy looks like as of now. Now, I didn't do anything into this or for this. I dropped the potatoes, so the starch and the little bit of flour that we had in there from coating the meat is what made this gravy so far. Okay, I'm not happy with this yet, and the reason why I'm not happy with this is because I like mine just a little bit thicker. Okay, so what we're going to do is I mixed up some cornstarch and water. 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, 1 tablespoon of water. It's 1 for 1 all the time. So, you know, if you need 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, you put 3 tablespoons of water. Pretty simple. All right, but you cannot add flour at this point to this, okay? Because you have to cook the raw flour, and you're not going to be able to do that in this. So cornstarch is a little bit easier. So I'm going to start out with just a little bit, probably half of it, and we're going to stir that in. Now this here needs to be hot, which it is, but it needs to be like almost at like a little bit of a boil. Okay, so we're going to boost the temperature up on this, and we're going to get that cornstarch to activate. Okay, and then once I get it to the consistency that I'm looking for, that's it. Then we're going to drop the dumplings in, and I'm going to show you how to do that. That's not too difficult. Like I said, I'm just using, this is an old-fashioned recipe, so this is more of a quick and easy biscuit. It's not a homemade biscuit. So, but we'll show you how to do that anyways. Okay, so you can see now I put some more heat to it. Okay, so we're just going to stir this, and as you stir this, this is gonna activate, and it's going to activate the cornstarch, and then it's going to thicken. So you could see now it kind of a little bit, right? Okay, you might not be able to see that on camera, but you can see it. I can see it. I can see it in person. You can just look at it and see it. All right, so yeah, that definitely worked. All right, so that's probably about where I like my stew and dumplings. Okay, so I'm just going to let this go for another minute. So usually it's a coat the back of the spoon thing. Okay, so if you look at it, if you do that, that was really hot, by the way. basically stuck my finger in this pot. That does coat the back of that spoon. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can see it. All right. And now it's really taken off. So as it's bubbling, it's thickening. Okay. All right, I say that's perfect. I'm not going any further with that. All right, to the other side of the kitchen. Let's make some biscuits. Let's make some. All right, so here we go with the biscuits. Super simple, okay? You're just following basically the directions on the box. You're doing 2 cups of the Bisquick, and you're doing 3/4 of a cup, or I'm sorry, 2/3 I can't talk today. 2/3 cup of milk. Okay, and then you're doing, throw that in, real easy. And then we're doing 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. All right, just like that. That's it. That's the biscuits. I told you it's way easier than doing a homemade biscuit, but please do a homemade biscuit if you want to. And then we're just going to fold this in. I don't know if can you guys see that? Yeah, there we go. We're going to fold this in, get this all together. We're not going to play with it too much, just until it starts forming the dough. There we go. Just like that. All right, this is like I said, so when people turn around and start messaging me and say, well, you know, you didn't make homemade biscuits, it's like, oh Lord. So so this is, I'm sorry, it's just one of those days. It's been one of those days. All right, so that's our biscuits, and now I'm going to show you guys exactly what we do. Oh, and to clear something up, people think that biscuits and dumplings are the same thing. They're not the same thing. A dumpling is when you put it in some kind of liquid and steam it, okay? A biscuit is doing the same thing here, but putting it on a cookie tray and putting it in the oven and baking that at like 350 or something like that for like 12 minutes. Okay, so that's the difference between biscuits and dumplings. All right, let's go. Back over, drop these in the pot. All right, so here we go. We're gonna dump in some, we're just doing like a little I don't know, tablespoon, right? And this is all we're gonna do. We're just gonna literally just drop them in. Okay, just like that. No special thing here, but it's gonna be a special meal, because this is, you can make these as big as small as you want. You just may have to cook them a little bit longer, that's all. Okay. And then we'll get one more out of it. The box says 8. Listen, hearty, right? Okay. So that's it. All right, biscuits are in. What we're going to do is we're going to put this on a low heat, a very low simmer. We're going to put the lid on it, and we're going to let them go for about 15-20 minutes. I'll be back with you. We'll plate this up. On with this then. So about 20 to 25 minutes for these dumplings, and this is now what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so if you press on them, they're not doughy, they're firm, right? That's what you're looking for. If they are a little bit doughy, just leave them in for another 5 minutes or whatever. It'll be fine. It's you know, you cook them how you want them, but they should be done. They should have a little bit of spring to them, but you know, the dough should be cooked, right? You know, so this is done. We're going to take this. Serving this, what I usually do is I usually just grab myself a biscuit, and I just place it in the bottom of the bowl, and then we kind of mix this up just a little bit. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but trust me, I'm mixing it up. All right, like that, and then we take a little bit. Oh boy, does this look good? Oh, hold on. Been a minute since I made this. And then we just right over the biscuit, just like that. Nice spoonful. Make sure you get plenty of gravy in there around the biscuit. We're just gonna finish this off with a little pepper. And that's really, guys, all that there is to this. It's pretty simple, somewhat of a simple recipe. All right, I'm gonna let this just cool for a second, and then we're gonna get back with a taste test. We'll break into this and show you exactly what that biscuit looks like on the inside. All right, hang in there. Right back. All right, so we are back for the taste test, and look at this biscuit. Look at that. Ooh, that's dangerous. That's gonna hurt. Okay, so a little bit of biscuit. We'll get a little piece of meat, some potato, and some gravy. Oh boy. Yeah, that's exactly how my mom used to make it. That's a memory. This is so good. A little salt and pepper. Maybe you don't even need bread because you get the biscuit with it. That meat is so tender. Potatoes are perfect. Everything is fantastic on this. Comfort food at its best, right? It's cold out, nice bowl of stew. This is what you're looking for. All right, guys. That's how I make my mom's stew and dumplings. You guys like this recipe? Put a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Share this recipe. You guys have been doing great sharing and liking and commenting. Please leave a comment down below. That'd be awesome too. And click that notification bell. We do this every single week. All right, guys, until the next recipe, we will see you guys next week. Make this. This is fantastic.